Welcome to Strangest Species Season 2, Episode 35. I'm host Mike Davis here with the most loveliest Ethne Davis.
I think you forgot my name for a second there.
No, I was trying to come up with something that I haven't said before.
You're with the...
Who are you again?
Yeah, who am I doing this with? Hello.
Yeah, I do sometimes forget who you are.
Yeah, well, that's a good sign. We have matching hoodies on again.
Well, isn't that embarrassing?
That is embarrassing. Good
At least
thing
nobody can see us.
Yeah, at least no one can see us.
We went to one of our kids. They had like a
music concert.
Yeah, like a concert in elementary school. And we own dental practice. All of our staff has matching hoodies that we made one year. And I had mine on. And I told her, you can't wear it. She said, I won't wear it.
But I had mine on all day.
But you didn't have it on then.
At the exact moment, I didn't.
And you told me, I won't wear it. And then she's like, shows up and she's wearing it and she has a vest on. She's like,
preface it a little different. As we were leaving, it was almost like, oh my gosh, we've got to go right now. And I was busy doing yard work and my hoodie from wearing it earlier was sitting right there on the couch. So I said, I'm sorry, but I'm wearing it, but I'll put my vest over top.
And that was going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
So she didn't close up her vest. And so literally we're not even into the school yet when one of the teachers is like, oh, cute, you have the same shirts on.
But then she even wanted some swag.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's kind of weird, Mrs. Welch, if you're not like a patient of ours. I was giving her a plug.
That's right.
She's like, I guess that's true, but I'd still wear it. It's cool.
It is a cool hoodie. Very comfy. Mm-hmm. I had a different hoodie on a second ago, but I spilled balsamic vinegar on it. So I went and washed it, and it's wet now.
And now you're matching me.
So now I'm matching you.
So last time I was matching you, apparently.
When we're sitting in a closet in our room.
Not a closet.
Or our house.
Not a closet. It's a room.
It is a room.
It's our cute recording room.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It is not a closet. It is a bedroom. But it's little.
Yep. But it's okay.
Yeah, it's great.
It's perfect.
Trying to think. Anything cool happening in life? It's March Madness. I love March Madness. Both my teams lost early, so.
I mean, it's the month of birthdays, I feel like, for our family, but like my side of the family. There's a lot of April birthdays.
That's true.
Lots and lots.
We got 2 kiddos.
Yeah, 2 kiddos this month. And, well, I guess, is it the 31st today?
Is it March 31st?
Yeah, it's March 31st. So it's not April yet.
Nope.
So starting tomorrow, this month.
Oh, I get what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah. And spring break and Easter and visitors and just, it's a soccer, spring sports, track and field.
Of soccer, which is the beginning of
crazy busy for 8 weeks.
Crazy busy.
Straight.
8 to 12.
Yeah. Well, Oaks is done at 8, so
yeah.
It tapers. But
the season's longer, and then it goes into summer tournaments and all sorts of goodness.
It's just a lot.
I'm having surgery this week, and that just worked out really well that we're off recording.
That's true for the
Think
other week.
about it. So that's good.
Hopefully you're feeling good for the next week, huh?
Well, it should be good to talk. Hopefully.
You're going to be good to do it all. Yeah.
I'm going to play some ball right afterwards.
The next day.
Right back to basketball.
For sure.
Yeah. Probably not. I can't think of anything else too exciting going on. It's super rainy here today. Mm-hmm. Just kind of want to.
I'm getting my spring fever. We're getting teased as we normally do in the Pacific Northwest. You know, you have your first spring and then your second spring and then.
It hasn't been cold though. Well, it's just been we've had such beautiful days and then we've gone to like rainy days, but
they've dropped like 20 degrees.
Sure.
Right.
But we're still like 20 above freezing.
Oh yeah.
It's not like a snowfall.
I guess that's true. And I guess that's more common in Canada where you get the teased and then you're full on going back to winter.
Right.
Yeah. This is more like, oh, it's here to stay. And then you're like, oh no, it's dropping 20 degrees tomorrow. It's still warm.
Yeah.
Not freezing, not snowy. But
you could go for a jog if you wanted. You could.
But it's just still a tease.
It is a tease.
It's a summer.
But we have had a couple days, like we were like 70 and sunny.
I think it was just like 1 or 2, but it was amazing.
That is
but this
hard
has
to come
been
back from.
The least harsh winter. I mean.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
That I can remember living here. So
I've actually enjoyed winter this year.
Good.
Yeah. So What do you think we're going to talk about?
We are going to talk about the discovery of a new clan of people in the Atlantic.
Like Atlantis?
Isn't that like an underwater city?
Well, it's underwater now. The theory was once it was a big thriving city.
Oh, above water and
Yeah.
it sunk? No,
Yeah.
I was thinking like above water people.
Always above water people.
Yeah.
Not mermaids.
No. They're really wiggly.
I am wiggly.
So that's what I think we're going to talk about. Somewhere in the Atlantic.
Well,
Am I close?
we're going to be in New Jersey, which touches the Atlantic.
I guess that's as close as I
So
get.
that's pretty good. But no.
Way to tie it in for me.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about something that I'm not... Well, we'll get there. We're going to start in the 1970s.
Okay.
There was a guy, his name was Gene Mulvihill, which is a cool last name. Not Vilhill, Mulvihill. I threw an extra L in there. Mulvihill. And Gene worked on Wall Street. And Gene liked money.
It's a good place to work if you like money.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's probably the most common thread amongst those working on Wall Street.
I would assume
They
so.
like money. So Gene ran a company called Mayflower Securities. Sometimes Mayflower Securities did legitimate business, but oftentimes they did not.
When you say legitimate, like you mean lawful?
Correct.
Gotcha.
Or maybe not even unlawful, definitely unethical. I'm not sure where the law
Stands.
right, but they would sell essentially worthless stocks in a bankrupt electronics company, and there was this whole big thing back in the 70s that were called money stocks, where these Wall Street investors would super hype up stock that really wasn't worth anything. They'd get investors to invest, and then as soon as they invested, they'd pull their money. I would assume it's illegal, but maybe it wasn't illegal. Maybe it was just scammy, or maybe at the time it wasn't illegal.
That seems illegal.
Right. But he was involved in that, and
Seems like a good guy.
it definitely lets you know, what kind of character we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And he, well, long story short, the SEC came in and shut down Mayflower Securities,
I don't know what the SEC is.
the Security Exchange Commission, the government.
Oh, the SEC?
Could be the Southeastern Conference as well.
Say it one more time.
Securities Exchange and Exchange Commission, I believe it's what it stands for.
Okay.
So essentially, Mulvihill got kicked out of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't go to jail or anything. There
Why
weren't
not?
any charges pressed
Oh,
against him.
wow. Okay.
At least none that stuck, if they did.
Right.
So he gets kicked out of Wall Street. It's time to make money somewhere else. But as we've already mentioned, Gene likes money. So where do you go? What do you do next? What's your next venture?
Vegas.
Vegas would be good, but you have to have a business model. You can't just go gamble.
Well, I was thinking of like, Ocean's 11 kind of thing. Ocean's 12.
Yeah, I don't know if he was that kind of like a heister, that kind of intelligence.
Where do you?
He's
I
no
don't
Brad Pitt.
like. I don't know where you go.
Yeah.
Calling old people and I don't know. That's kind of a scuzzy thing to do, right? So maybe.
And you have to understand, Mulvihill's that classic, like, and I think you've already got this image, this schmoozer. I'll say used car salesman, but that's kind of a there's some cool used car salesmen out there that are good guys. But you understand the type, right?
Mm-hmm.
He just wanted to turn a profit at all costs, not obviously worried about how to get there. So after essentially being banned from Wall Street, he, and along with a few other investors, created a company called Great American Recreation.
Great American Recreation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And with Great American Recreation, they went in and bought the Vernon Valley Great Gorge Ski Resort in New Jersey.
The Vernon Valley
slash Great Gorge ski resort. There's actually two different ones that recently merged.
Okay.
So it was a ski hill with a big resort or not, hotel. So they went in and bought that,
Okay.
which is legitimate business. But the problem was the ski resort made really good money in the winter, but skiing in the summer, as you well know, is not the greatest.
No, definitely not.
So they decided they needed to make money in the summertime as well.
I mean, yes.
Because you had this land, you had all this stuff, but no one really coming. And so in the off season of 1976, they came up with an idea to make money at the resort during the summertime.
Ooh, I know.
Yes.
Downhill mountain biking.
That would be good. A lot of people do that around here. Almost all the ski resorts here let you use their lifts to do that. That's a good idea.
Don't they charge you like a fee?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, not but
Okay.
they open up the lifts to get your bike up there. You're on the right track, but not. They didn't do mountain biking.
Hiking.
That would have been good too, but they were still aiming for more money, more profits. They decided to build an amusement park of sorts.
Weird.
How come being weird?
Because you're on a mountain.
This is true. You are on a mountain.
So I think that's weird.
That is weird. That's a good weird call.
Also, like, usually mountains take a little effort to get to. They're not like, hey, here's a mountain 10 minutes away or right in the city.
Right.
You are like making an extra special trip to go to this said mountain. Like, think of how much business Silverwood gets just because it's on that main freeway, right?
That's true.
It's accessible. That's the word I'm
I
looking
think
for.
it's not a bad thought. You're right. I think maybe that thought's a little biased for you because you're Canadian and you come from like giant mountains.
Which is real mountains.
That really do take like,
yeah.
you got to drive an hour up the mountain to get to the resort.
Yeah.
You go out Midwest and East, they're ski hills, quote unquote, oftentimes are no more than hills.
Oh.
And so they are much closer.
They're pretty
to,
accessible.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I have no idea why the weird factor. I just think it's weird.
No, I don't think you're wrong in thinking it's weird. I'm just trying to,
Yeah, no, I was just I'm
Pick your
trying
brain a
to think
little bit.
why I think it's weird. But
So it's not a terrible idea. Like, sure, let's put some stuff to do in the summertime at our resort. I can see that. The problem is you have to understand or remember Mova Hill's mentality. He's that cavalier. Well, let's just make money. Who cares how we get there? And so, for example, rather than hiring some expensive engineering company like Disney would do, or Universal, or Six Flags, or any of those kind of companies, he thought most of the rides up himself.
oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah. Ed Yeomans, who was the park's operation manager, said this about Mulva Hill. He said, probably 90% of those ideas were just so crazy and off the wall that nobody would get near him. And the other 10% were pretty close to that. He actually made a lot of those ideas happen.
Wow. That's terrible.
Yeah. So he kind of kept his antics from Wall Street. He allowed inexperienced teenagers to run the park without any kind of real rules or supervision because they were cheaper. And he made up his own stuff. But it's funny. He purposely didn't want a cookie cutter theme park.
Right.
He wanted it to be a place where patrons were like much more a part of it.
What does that mean?
He wanted it to feel more like a weekend at the local swimming hole than going to Disneyland.
But how would you make that vibe?
Oh, we'll find out.
Oh, I'm scared.
So essentially think of it like if our boys made an amusement park in our backyard with the scraps they could find around.
Oh, they've done this. And I'm not imagining. That's a real thing. They've dreamt this up and tried like 3 different times.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's adorable and terrible all at the same time.
Well, if you have millions of dollars to do it as well, you can really come up with some fun stuff.
Okay.
So in 1976, he started with his first ride. He opened a 2,700 foot or 820 meter long alpine slide down one of the steep ski trails.
That sounds
Which is, these things
cool.
exist around the world.
It sounds cool.
You can go
A
online
lot of
and look it up.
maintenance. Yeah.
Essentially, it's like a concrete track.
Think of how expensive that would have been.
Yeah. It's kind of like a bobsled track, but
Right.
like way smaller, like
Yeah.
not the big sides. And so it went down under one of the the chairlifts. The rider sat on small sleds that only had a brake or an accelerator control stick that sat between your legs, so you could kind of control how fast you were going. But it quickly became notorious for causing injuries.
I mean, yeah.
So the stick that was supposed to control the speeds or the sled's speed, in theory, had lots of, you could gradually control how fast or slow it. But in reality, when it was actually built, there were only two options. There was extremely slow, or what one of the ride operators described as death awaits.
Perfect.
Those were your two options.
That's terrible.
And again, remember, this is being run just by local kids that he hires to come in and do it.
Oh, I feel like I'm nervous.
So in the summers of 1984 and 85, and this is 10 years after it was built, but here are statistics just from those summers.
Of how many people died or
Well, no deaths here,
how much money they made? Like
injuries here.
injuries. Okay.
So those slides alone were responsible for 14 broken bones and 26 head injuries.
Dang.
And because people would, fly off.
Yeah.
So, one employee, and this is a common theme that we're going to find a lot in this park, who was a teenager and decided to go down after hours. Like they would all just kind of play on the stuff after hours.
Of course, yeah.
Flew off going so fast that he required 200 stitches on his butt and leg because he landed on rocks when he went flying off.
Like there's no like landing pad?
No.
Why not?
Well, maybe at the very end, but going around the corners too
you
fast.
like
Oh,
went
no, the
around
carts would come flying off.
Oh, like
They're
up
not-
the side.
Yeah, because they're not hooked to the track. And when you look at it, it's not like a bobsled track in the side where it has the sides. It's like these little 6-inch lips on either side.
Oh my gosh, we just flew right over
Oh,
the
yeah.
edge.
Yeah.
Not at the end.
Nope. Just going around a corner.
Oh, dang. That's terrible.
Yeah. So as you can see, I mean, it had design flaws.
I mean, that's
But tons of people came and did it and loved it, and it was a big hit.
okay.
So it was a great first ride. So Mulvihill decided, I'm going to design and add more to the park. Because why not?
I mean, yeah, with his safety level,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure.
So
Someone's
summer
gonna get
of
mad at him.
1978, Mulvihill added 2 water slides and a go-kart track.
78 or 88?
78. So 76 was when they first built the slide.
Oh, okay. I thought for some reason. Okay.
I did say those stats were from
83 or 84?
84, 85
Oh, okay. Those are the
specifically.
statistics. Gotcha.
But I'm saying 10 years later, they're
Okay.
still having tons of issues.
Gotcha.
So 2 years after that opened, they built these other water slides and go-kart track and officially opened the park as Action Park.
I like it.
Yes.
Short and sweet.
Yes. It opened on July 4th of 1978 and had 2 opening day promotions. This is great. Because remember, we're going for backyard feel. Promotion number 1, a Dolly Parton lookalike contest.
What does that mean? If you
Try to look like Dolly Parton.
then you
Win.
okay, that's awesome.
Yes.
I would have loved to have been at this park for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like any gender can be doing this, right? So
sure.
it would be hysterical.
And the other was a tobacco juice spitting contest.
Ew, that's the promotion.
Those are the day opening. Come and join Action Park. And
Wait, time out.
participate
What
in
does that
those.
even mean?
I don't know if it's a distance thing.
Oh, gross.
Maybe an accuracy thing. Like, can you hit the spittoon from over there?
This is disgusting.
Maybe a combo of both. Maybe like run through a course spitting. I don't know. I've never participated in one.
It's too bad for you.
Yeah. So 2 years later, 1980, the park added 2 whole new worlds.
Worlds.
We had Motor World
Motor World?
and Water World.
Woo.
Yes.
Wow. How many things are in the one world?
Well, give me 1 second. I'll tell you. So the park's 250 acres transformed into one of North America's earliest modern water parks. It had 75 rides.
Wow, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like a
35 were motorized and 40 were water slides.
That's impressive.
It's impressive. It's like Silverwood.
The only thing I'm questioning
Except without the coasters.
The only thing I'm questioning is
You should be questioning a lot of
you're
things.
taking a lot of the mountain and putting all these things in the way. So
they're kind of at the base of the hill.
So when you ski, it's not affecting the runs. Okay.
Nope.
Or when you snowboard or whatever. Okay. Sorry. Keep going.
So all built, so you have 75 rides, but again, all built by kind of DIY,
I love it.
you know.
We should do this in our backyard.
Well, we don't have 250 acres.
No, but we have one.
Yeah. We do have a solid open acre back there
Yeah. Totally just,
with a big hill.
yeah, make lots of money.
Well, when we're done with the episode, let's revisit and see if we still want to do that, okay?
I know deep down inside I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, these were all built by geniuses like Mulvihill.
Yeah. I mean, self-appointed geniuses. Yeah.
So Andy Mulvihill, Gene's son, had this to say later on. He said, Gene didn't want to do the same old stuff where you just get strapped into something or it twirls around. He wanted to take the idea of skiing, which is exhilarating because you control the action, and transfer it to an amusement park. There's inherent risk in that, but that's what makes it fun.
Ah, I see his logic.
So he wanted all of his rides to be quasi-risky.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
Wanted you
looking for
little,
the risk.
hence the name Action Park.
He's looking for the risk
Right.
and the rush.
And the rush.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
just that feel of a rope swing, of a,
What about liability stuff here?
oh, that's a good question. We're going to talk about liability. Not yet, but we're going to talk about liability.
Wasn't liability stuff a thing back then?
Not nearly as much as it is now, but we are going to,
We can probably thank him for all the liability issues.
we're going to get there. Don't worry.
Well, I just didn't know what it was like back then. I mean, I was not even born
Yeah.
so I was curious, like, how did he even get this? Well,
I'll tell you this. He did not have any liability insurance when this all started because nobody would cover him. But we'll.
But then how can you be open?
Well, we will get there, Anthony. Well,
Sorry.
we will get there.
Just thinking of all the things.
So
Okay.
another thing that made, so you have all these parks or all these rides that are essentially homemade.
This sounds so
You
terrible.
have it run by teenagers. The other thing that he would often do is they marketed heavily to poorer demographics.
Why?
Because people, he wanted to get you can't go to Atlantic City because you can't afford it. You can't, if you can't afford all the fancy places, like Action Park's a place for you. Because we're your mom and pop, hole in the wall kind of place.
Oh.
Like, come hang out here. And they also marketed heavily to the Hispanic population,
Okay.
but had no interpreters or translating of anything in the park.
Of course.
And so, that's always helpful. If you have quasi dangerous things, but you can't explain them to the people who are coming.
Yeah. Oh, that's even more dangerous, I would
Yeah.
assume. Yeah.
So let's go through some of the rides. Sound fun?
I mean, I want to know a lot about what kind of water in his water world, like water rides.
Okay, we'll talk about that some too.
Okay.
We're gonna start in Motor World though.
Oh, that's
We're gonna start in Motor World, then we're gonna go to Water World.
yeah.
So the first ride in Motor World was the Grand Prix track. Essentially go-karts.
Yeah, those are pretty common,
Totally.
right?
So the super go-karts allowed guests to drive around in a loop at speeds of about 20 miles per hour
I'm okay with that.
or 32 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
They were controlled by a governor device on the go-kart. So it wouldn't let you go faster than the set speed.
I was like, I don't know what that means, but I get it now.
But the cool teenage employees
Figured out how to
found that if they
override the
wedged a
governor.
tennis ball at a certain spot on the go-kart,
Oh, gosh.
they could override them. So they were known to do that for guests.
Not just for themselves when they're after hours, but for guests.
Yeah. Especially, you think about it. You're 16, a bunch of your buddies come in, you know, pretty girl comes in with her friends. You're totally like, yeah, watch this, you know. This is the 70s.
This is just a recipe for disaster. I'm just feeling it.
So as a result, the those go-karts could get up to close to about 50 miles per hour or 80 kilometers per hour.
Much too
And they
fast.
very frequently turned into bumper cars on the track.
Oh, jeez.
So there were many injuries
Yeah.
resulted from head-on collisions and other things. Also, the cart's engines were pretty poorly maintained. So you would fairly frequently have passengers like being faint, not literally would faint, but like lightheaded and dizzy because of the gas fumes
Oh, yeah.
constantly.
That definitely is a thing. Wow. This sounds amazing.
The other problem that they ran into a lot was, for some reason, they thought it would be smart to put a microbrewery right next to the go-kart track. And this is a problem that we are going to find a lot in the park, is they sold alcohol everywhere. And they weren't the strictest on like
Consumption and...
or checking IDs, and so you would have frequently have, you know, drunk drivers driving around your
go-karts that are
Go-karts
going
that are
legitimately
ungoverned. Yeah.
way too fast. Wow.
run by teenagers.
Heck yeah. I want to go there.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people went there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they want to go there because of this reason.
Yeah, so that was
You
the
know what
go-karts.
it's reminding me of?
What?
Can't remember what it's called, but in Pinocchio, they try to take them to like Fun Island or what's it called?
Pleasure Island.
Pleasure Island. Doesn't this kind of remind you
Exactly,
of like
Pleasure Island.
Yeah.
In real life.
they should have called it not Pleasure Island because it's not an island. They should have called it. Was Pinocchio out by this time?
Oh yeah, Pinocchio came out in like 1940.
Okay, totally. They should have called it
30-something.
like Pleasure Ride, Pleasure Hillside, or I don't know. Anyway, I think that this is totally
When Disney World first opened,
yeah.
well, maybe not when they first opened, in the 90s, they opened Pleasure Island, which is where the current Disney Springs is.
But
Which is like downtown
Was
Disney.
it Pleasure Island like from Pinocchio?
That was the original thing, like clubs and stuff like that, and it didn't go very well.
Well, that makes
And
sense.
it got quickly changed to
Was
Disney
it meant
Springs.
for adults?
It was like an
Oh.
after hours kind of.
Oh yeah, Disney Springs is much better.
Yeah. Now it's like Lego store and, you know, those kind of things.
Just like downtown Disney. Yeah.
You know, I think there's a Rainforest Cafe or, you know, those kind of stuff.
those kind of things. Huh? Interesting. I would have liked to have at least seen what Pleasure Island looked like.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you're a
in
party
Disney
animal,
World.
so that makes sense.
No.
Ethnic clubs more than anyone I know.
Yeah, you know me. Just getting. You know me.
Big time clubber.
Big time. Yep. You better believe it. Okay. So
So that
anyway,
was.
sorry, I'm thinking of my
No,
new
that's
name
fine.
for this park. I don't
Yeah.
like his name. I want it to be Pleasure something.
Yeah.
It's railing in my brain.
You keep thinking about that.
Pleasure Mountain.
Pleasure Mountain.
Pleasure Mountain.
If only you were around.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. So the next ride was called Battle Action Tanks.
Battle action. Like a live, that game, you know, where you.
Like Battleship?
Yeah.
Kind of, but
No,
not.
totally different.
So this cost a little extra money.
To do it.
Mm-hmm.
Does
But
it
guess-
use real bullets?
Nope.
Okay.
But guests could, it was like a big chain link enclosure, and they were like these little one-man car tanks with a cannon on them that shot tennis balls.
Oh, okay. Oh, that would actually be fun.
But, and then on your tank, there was a little target. If someone hit your target, your gun was disabled for 15 seconds.
Oh, okay. This actually sounds fun.
Yeah. It was one of the most popular rides. And then also, if you weren't participating, you could pay money, kind of like at Silverwood, the bumper boats, how you can
Spray people.
Spray people.
That's my favorite.
They had the cannonball guns or the tennis ball guns
on the
perimeter that you could pay to go just
okay,
shoot
they
in
need
at.
to institute this at Silverwood.
But it was totally like real like car. I mean, you could tell this is not like a cutesy.
What do you mean? The tanks were like real?
Yeah, it was like...
Oh, this would be so awesome.
Like welded, mesh metal over the windows and stuff.
This would be
sounds
great.
super hot and gross. But
Well, if your head is out of the top,
well, no, you can't because these things are coming at 90 miles an hour.
they shoot out that fast?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Did I not tell you that yet?
Maybe you did and I missed that. I don't know.
Oh, if I didn't, yeah, they shoot at about 90 miles an hour. So
The tennis ball shoots that fast?
yeah,
Oh, that's
again, when you make your own stuff, man, like
that also sounds very dangerous.
it is very dangerous. It wasn't so dangerous for the people in the tanks, but
The people on the outsides trying to shoot are getting shot across.
well, the main issue was these tanks would get stuck, or they'd crash into each other, or they'd stall because the 70s, like these cars aren't super efficient. So the workers would have to run out and like push them, and people would just pelt them. And
that
so,
could like kill you.
well,
90 miles an
9
hour?
hours. I mean, it's like a Major League Baseball pitch,
Oh my
And
goodness.
so it quickly became a least favorite place to work.
Yeah. Most favorite place to play.
Yeah. But again, they would have rules like don't do stuff, but literally one guest poured lighter fluid on a tennis ball, lit it on fire, and shot it. Because there's just the place is just chaotic, right?
Yeah, it's like mayhem.
It's literally like Pleasure Island. He did get kicked out of the park,
Well, good.
but still, I mean, can you imagine now like going to an amusement park and like
Oh, you would be banned
throwing a
forever.
flaming tennis ball?
Yeah.
It's very, very different.
It's like a fire hazard
Yeah.
in so many ways. I mean, there's so many things wrong with that.
Yeah. So the last one that we're going to talk about that was over in Motor World, excuse me, were the super speed boats.
But that sounds like a water thing.
It is, but it had a motor. So it's a Motor
Mm,
World.
Okay, got it.
So they were on a little pond. Now the staff, according to the staff, this pond was heavily infested with snakes because it's just this natural pond out there, right? This isn't built for.
Right. It's not like
It's not man-made.
Yeah.
It's just, hey, we're on this mountain. There's a pond of stagnant water. That's where the boats are going. So they could drive around. There's a little island in the middle. These boats literally drove about 35, 40 miles an hour, which is fast. Like we have a boat at 35 miles an hour.
That's fast.
You're bopping along pretty good on those waves and you can't hear anybody in the boat, These are just little one-man boats.
But still, that's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Unlike the land vehicles, there was no way to tamper with them. You couldn't make them go any faster, which is good. But they did often get turned into bumper boats or drunken bumper boats.
With the microbreweries.
And so you had lifeguards that would having to like jump in and save people that would fall out of their boats or because they were drunk. And
I mean, pretty quickly, nobody's going to want to work here.
yeah, I mean, the good thing about teenagers is there's a new crop every year.
Sure, but even just for the whole season.
I mean, they're
gonna
dumb and they don't know any better. So
They are not dumb. I was a very smart teenager.
I'm sure you were. Most aren't.
Would you have kept working there?
It depends what I was doing. I mean, I wouldn't want to get shot with tennis balls. But as a lifeguard, I mean, as a lifeguard, I've had to jump in and pull someone out of the water once a week. Sounds better than just standing there looking at water for 40 hours a week, not ever actually doing anything.
Oh, so maybe the excitement of having
Yeah.
to pull someone out is cool and seeing if snakes get you?
Yeah.
No.
It's actiony, man. It's exciting.
It's exciting. Hence
So-
Action Park.
Yeah. So Motor World definitely had its issues.
Right.
But most of Action Park's problems came from Waterworld,
Oh, okay.
which is hard to believe based on what we just talked about.
Yeah, it's going to get worse, huh?
Yeah. Actually, Waterworld is what eventually caused the park to close, kind of.
Okay.
As homemade water slides can be a little hard to safely create.
I mean, I don't know how you do that homemade. I feel like I'm trying to picture what it would be like back then. I mean, what are you using?
Let's start with the most famous or infamous ride at all of Action Park.
Okay.
This is the Cannonball Loop.
It just sounds like a nightmare. I already am terrified.
What do you think the Cannonball Loop? If I tell you just that name is a water slide.
Okay. It has a loop.
Mm-hmm.
It's a water slide. The loop is a full 360 loop, and you're being pushed by water, jet propelled by water somehow. So you shoot out as fast as you can, and you have to get enough momentum that you're going to go around the whole loop. And this is just your body in a swimsuit.
So you're pretty much 100% right.
Yeah.
Except there's no propulsion mechanism because this is the 70s. It's just you're way up on top of a hill and you got to go super fast, super steep down to get enough speed.
Oh my gosh, you're just getting enough speed based on the
mountain.
mountain.
Then there's one loop at the end into, well, whatever little pool thing you land in, right?
Oh, gee.
So in 1983, they built this enclosed water slide called the Cannonball Loop. Have a complete vertical loop at the end, similar to a roller coaster. I mean, you're very right. Now, it was so intimidating that employees were offered $100, which is equal to about $300 today, to test it out. Because, I mean, that's how you build, right? You don't design it based on, math and stuff. You just build it and say, okay, guys, which one of you dumb teenagers wants to go down here for $100?
I feel like this is the slide off the dock last year. Like, it's a work in progress. You just make it and you just make sure it works and no one.
But at least we went down the slide first.
Sure.
Versus getting the kids to go down the slide first. And so Fergus, a kid who worked there.
That's like a name of a kid?
Here's his last name, yeah. It's a great name, by the way. He self-described himself as one of the idiots who took the offer.
He really wanted the $100.
And he said that the $100 did not buy enough booze to drown out the memory.
Oh my gosh. I don't even want to know.
The slide was open for about a month. In 1985, before it was closed at the order of the state's advisory board on carnival amusement ride safety.
Okay.
Because of a highly unusual... Oh, sorry. That was a highly unusual move for them to shut a ride down. And one of the local newspapers, or one of the employees told the local newspaper there were just far too many bloody noses and back injuries from riders. Some early riders came back with lacerations on their bodies. And when the ride was closed to determine what had caused them, they had found that teeth that had fallen out were wedged into the inner lining of the loop. And so as people would go by, they would scrape on these teeth.
This is disgusting.
Yeah.
How did someone come out and not be like,
That's what I was wondering. Is it like a baby tooth?
I do not even, I can't. Oh, inside like the separate, like the segments of the tube, right?
Well, I think there was almost like a softer foam interior.
Yeah. That were just, they got wedged into. If you hit that tooth wrong, man, it would slice you right up. Oh my goodness.
A former Navy physician found that riders were experiencing as much as 9 Gs when they hit the loop.
How has no one died?
Well, that's great. Well, because it was only open for a month.
But I mean, like, in all of these things, not one for just injuries?
A lot of injuries.
But no one died?
No. So a story...
so I guess people from the 70s and 80s were way tougher.
Way tougher.
Because, I mean, I feel like 100 million people would have died at this point.
Yeah.
If this was open right now.
Dead. Every person would die nowadays. So there was a story reported that when they were originally testing it, some of the test crash dummies that they sent down came back decapitated.
Oh, so why are we still going along with this?
I don't know. So remember Andy, the son of Gene?
Mm-hmm.
So he was actually the first live person to ever test it when he was a teenager. And he said he went down wearing his entire hockey gear, pads.
That's good.
Which means that it's got to be a pretty good sized tube.
Well, yes. I mean, at least yeah. And?
But he said
did he make it?
He did. He said the Cannonball Loop was not for fun. It was more like a ride you tried to survive, just to say you did it, rather than have a good time.
Oh my gosh. Every person at the top has to put on full hockey gear.
Yeah. So The ride opened a few times over the next couple of years, but it never stayed open more than a month or two.
Like because they tried to make modifications or something?
Yeah, so at one point they put like a hatch in because sometimes people would hit the bottom and then not make it all the way over the loop, and so they come back down. So they had to install a hatch to get people out. They had a lot of back injuries as people would hit the top and then just kind of drop.
Oh,
you know, like
this is terrible.
That was so terrible. So for being the infamous ride at the park, it was never really open.
Yeah.
But it was there until the park closed. So this big iconic structure. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like that's what you should expect from random dudes who get kicked out of Wall Street for being shady. Build water slides.
Yeah. I think his track record, though, they should have been maybe a little more leery to let him do this. But
who's they, though? Like the state?
Yeah, like you have to have permits and stuff, don't you?
Now, I don't know. Back then.
Weird.
So,
hey.
Another water ride. We had the Aqua Scoot.
The Aqua Scoot?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. This is a pretty common one. You know, riders would carry like a hard plastic sled to the top and then, slide down. There's multiple slides.
But why is that called the Aqua Scoot? Do you like land on, like go over puddles or something?
I don't know why they called it that.
Oh, okay.
Because you're scooting over the water on your sled thing.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
But then, so you go to the top of the hill, but then you'd go down a slide that was consisted of like rollers, like in a factory line.
Oh, dang. So many things would get caught in there.
And then at the bottom, you hit a pool of water, and that's when you scoop.
Oh.
Kind of bounce across it, right?
Mm.
But the pool at the bottom was like 6 inches deep. Like it wasn't like a pool.
Yeah,
it was just like a big puddle of water.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea was once you hit the water, you would slide across it and kind of skip like a stone. But to do that, you had to be like exactly in the right position when you hit the water. Like if you're leaning too far forward, then you catch an edge and you flip.
Oof.
Or if you lean too far back, then the board flips out from underneath you and you crash. So, that it ended in a lot of head injuries.
Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah. So, also, again, because of the teenage workers, they were pretty bad at the appropriate timing between. So you had to get out of the pool real fast or you're going to get clipped by the next person coming through.
Oh, right. And the teenagers didn't time it right? Like give enough time in between?
Yeah.
Now we just have light bulbs. They're timed.
Ding. Well, most of them still have a lifeguard at the top, too.
Not in Edmonton.
But when we were up
not
in Calgary, right, it was just a light bulb.
Which is awesome. I felt like this is so 70s.
But that place, we said when we were there, we had this water park, or like indoor water center with all these slides. But it felt like a time warp back to the 80s. Like the decorations, everything.
Yeah, but also
and the lack of lifeguards.
Like they even let the kids jump off into the wave pool, like right off the wall, which I was like, this is awesome.
And there was no rope at the end, like to keep you away from where the waves came from.
Nope, they just.
But yet they counted numbers for the hot tub.
Yes. And
But there was a lifeguard there making sure there weren't too many people in the hot tub.
Yeah.
But you could totally do whatever you want.
Everywhere else. Just not the hot tub.
Yeah.
Probably because the adults made that happen.
Probably, like, just for comfort-wise.
Yeah, for sure.
They had another ride called the Kayak Experience, which was an imitation whitewater course that used submerged electric fans to agitate the water.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. But again, frequently the kayaks would get stuck or tipped over and people had to help them get out. And because if whitewater rafting or kayaking through whitewater is like kind of a skilled thing.
Mm-hmm. You definitely have to have lots of skills for that.
And if you're drunk and unskilled.
It's a recipe for disaster
correct.
Again.
We are going to come back to the kayak experience later. So just keep that one in mind.
Keep the kayak.
Whitewater rafting. Okay. They had the Tarzan swing, which was just simply a big steel arch hanging from a 20-foot cable.
Okay.
That went over a spring-fed pool. Now you're talking about water. A lot of this water was naturally fed from a spring. But year-round, well, not year-round, but even in the height of summer, it only got to about 50 degrees.
Oof,
or
cold,
10 degrees
like
Celsius.
Water. Yeah.
I mean, I will not get in on the river until it's like 70.
Glacier water.
Ice. Well, not literally ice cold, but very cold water.
Yeah. Ice, baby.
Like that, yeah. We'll come back to the Tarzan swing as well.
Oh, okay.
This one was a funny one. Surf Hill. So
A flow rider.
no, it's one of those rides where you ride down on your stomach on like the multicolored one at Silverwood.
The carpet one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, almost like a carpet. It's like this thin foam. But this is one of those ones. A lot of like carnivals used to have these in the summer with like a potato sack. They're just like hill after hill. You just gently go down. It was essentially that, but with water. You would just ride down on your stomach.
Up?
No, on your stomach.
Oh, okay.
You just go down,
Literally exactly like the one
exactly
at
like that. Yep.
Okay.
Except without the spins at the top, but
Okay.
just this big hill with all these little mini dips in the middle. So that one was actually pretty benign. People would frequently kind of jump
Fly
lanes
little,
and hit each other. In one lane, the 7th lane, the farthest one over, they did have a big jump right in the middle and it was called the backbreaker.
Whoa.
Because it did have this big special kicker 2/3 of the way down that allowed you to make like jumps.
Oh, that sounds terrible. On your stomach?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Into a large puddle. But this part is funny. Gene Mulvihill decided after it was open for a little while to build a special viewing space at the bottom of this ride.
Okay.
And can you think, why would you build a special viewing place at this ride?
For facial reactions of people when they hit the bumps or something?
Kind of. So you're right in that. So 2 reasons. First, this is like the original Fail Army.
Okay.
Because people would totally wipe out on the big one and hit each other, and so you can sit there and watch them. The second one, though, was because girls would frequently lose their tops when they hit the puddle at the bottom. And in their disorientation of being, they'd stand up. And so he's like, hey, that's great. Let's put a viewing area here so people can sit. Again, very backyardy, very skeezy.
Yes, super skis.
But this is the kind of place you're going. So the other area around all of it was kind of like a big grotto. They had a lot of like low intensity attractions around a big pool. And on this big pool was a pair of diving cliffs. One was about 23 feet tall, and one was about 18 feet tall.
Wow.
So just big areas you could jump off of.
Yep.
The pool was 16 feet deep.
Doesn't seem quite deep enough. But...
Yeah. But it wasn't blocked off from any of the other swimming areas. So you could just swim, and all of a sudden someone jumps off and lands on you. Like it's not roped off. It's not, as it definitely would be today, right?
Yeah.
They also only had one lifeguard that watched, that area.
That's
so he had his hands full all the time dealing with collisions. And sometimes they would have like non-swimmers jump off the cliffs, not realizing it was as deep as it was.
Oh, gosh.
And so, but again, all that happens because you just have no rules in place.
Right. You're just like, wow, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Last one we're going to talk about was the tidal pool.
Okay.
The tidal pool was a wave pool. Mm-hmm. It was really, 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 really big. It could hold about 1,000 people.
How? I don't understand. How?
Just,
he built a...
Yeah, it's just huge.
Where did he get water from? Or something?
Maybe it wasn't that huge. Maybe they just packed a lot of people in there.
Crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
How did he build it? That's the part
It would become to be known as the grave pool instead of the tidal pool.
Oof.
It could hold up to 1,000 swimmers and had over 3-foot high waves. The pool was super deep on one end, and so you'd have drunk swimmers, 3-foot high waves. Then they did have up to 30 lifeguards at a time at the pool.
Well, that's good.
Because it was absolutely insane.
Yeah, like crazy.
And they were jumping in constantly, like,
whoa,
pulling people out.
Terrible.
Mm-hmm. So, needless to say, with all of that, that's kind of a background of the park. Injuries were very common.
Yeah.
And as its legal troubles would suggest, the park was accused of cutting corners to maximize profits.
Yeah.
For example, it was accused of building rides cheaply, sporadically maintaining them, and failing to renovate anything or take advantage of safety regulations that came out.
Right. As they came out.
That other theme parks would do. So the other thing is, like I said, well, like I said, it was so bad that it did keep the ski thing open, but it was unable to obtain liability insurance.
Right.
Because of the way that they ran. On top of that, the vast majority of the workers were teenagers. A lot of them were underaged. Most of them were undertrained. Oftentimes, they themselves were under the influence of alcohol.
Right.
And generally cared very little for enforcing any kind of park rules, such as height and weight restrictions. Whatever.
All the little things.
Yeah.
They're like, whatever.
If you want to go, go. So, I mean, what do you think happens when you run a park like that?
Oh. I'm surprised no one's died yet.
Yeah. Well.
So I feel like you're going to get shut down like real fast, or nobody's going to want to go, or I don't know.
So they had lots of citations for safety violations between 1979 and 1986. But it was later disclosed that the park would only report an accident if someone was transported by ambulance.
Well, of course.
So only if they had to, essentially, because so even though they had lots, there were really lots more that never got reported.
Right.
Luckily, some of Gene's ideas never could pass.
Oh.
And never even got created.
Into real life.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For example, he had one called a Bailey ball.
What's a Bailey?
I'll show you a picture of the Bailey ball, and you can describe it to people.
Is it the thing that you like to hit to take down like a building? The big ball? The big...
This is the real life picture of the Bailey ball from Action Park.
Looks like one of those bombs in the water.
It looks like an anti-submarine bomb.
Yeah, that Dory like set off in Finding Nemo. That's what it looks like.
So describe it for people.
It's a ball that has spikies, almost like the COVID.
Yeah, it looks like a virus.
Like the COVID virus ball with the spikies on it.
And how big is it?
I don't know. Maybe.
So it has a door.
It has a door. Maybe like one person can fit in
so
it.
it's designed. It's not like the ball you hold.
No,
this is the ball you get
it's
inside
huge.
of.
Yeah, a person could fit inside of.
The spikies that she's talking about are literally roller wheels that you could buy at like Home Depot that are welded all over the outside of it.
Oh my gosh! Now that I look closely, yeah, that thing rolls down the hill.
That was the idea. So essentially, think of a metal ball that you get put into
with a bunch of wheels
roller
on the
wheels
outside,
all around the ball.
Yeah, the whole thing.
And then you get pushed down a hill.
What did he call this?
This was the Bailey ball.
Why the Bailey ball?
I don't know why.
Okay.
So
how would you not die inside?
So it wasn't just pushed down the hill. It had a track.
Even then, how do you guarantee it's going to stay in this track?
Well, let's talk about that. So they built the track out of PVC.
Oh my gosh.
Now, PVC is made out of plastic.
Yeah.
Plastic expands and shrinks based on...
Well, and cracks.
Well, everything expands and shrinks. But plastic expands and shrinks pretty easily because it's not very solid, right? Or soft. So, this is hilarious.
I don't know.
They built the track out of PVC. First test they ever did.
There's no human inside, right?
There's a state inspector present.
Oh my gosh.
There is a human inside.
Ooh.
Hot summer day. They send him down the track. It almost immediately goes off the track.
Yeah, I would have guessed so.
Because the track has changed size.
What is there to stop this person from inside there?
Well, we'll get there. Bounces off the track.
Oh.
It finds itself in an adjacent ski slope. Gravity does its thing.
Yeah.
He goes down the ski slope, out of the park, over the interstate, avoids getting hit by any cars.
Wow.
And ends up across the interstate in a swamp.
Did he die?
He did not die. He actually survived.
But wouldn't it sink in a swamp?
Well, it must. I mean, I don't know if it was like a deep swamp, but even if it's like a foot of water, enough to stop the buckyball, Bailey ball.
Who is the person that went inside?
I don't know.
They better have been offered like $500,000.
You got $200, man. No, I don't know.
I bet the
needless to say, it never opened.
Yeah, the state inspector's like, no.
Nor do I think it ever even was tested again.
Oh my gosh.
But again, these are the kind of rides
This is
like
crazy.
you're like, oh, I can make a ball out of metal and weld it together, put some wheels on it, and build
all
a track
around
out of PVC. But that's what would happen in our backyard.
It would look way worse than that. Like they at least had like a decently
But Stephen,
formed
that is far
ball.
different than, Six Flags or whatever.
Oh, sure.
Like,
sure, but my goodness. Okay. The fact that they think that might be a good idea is concerning.
well, it makes you concerned for all the things.
Yeah. Okay.
So, going back to your earlier question, so 6 people have died in the park.
Okay. That makes me feel like, how has no one died yet?
Yes, 6 have.
But the person in that ball didn't die.
One person in the ball did not die.
But are they strapped in and
I
like
have no
their head
idea.
protected? I can't.
I assume they're strapped in. If you're just flopping around in there, bouncing all over, you're dead.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even if you're just waist protected, like you'd have
Well,
to
I'd
be
feel like
full...
a 5-point harness,
Yeah.
Or hopefully he had a helmet.
Wouldn't you be so nauseous?
Oh, it would be. I just imagine the heat alone.
Oh.
Like,
I just can't. Ah!
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. You were saying this. So 6 people have died.
Yeah. So, in 1980, a 19-year-old died on the Alpine slide when his car jumped off the track. And his head hit a rock.
Dang.
He was rushed to the hospital, but passed away actually like a week later.
Oh, wow.
Gene Mulvihill told or lied to reporters and said, so this kid was actually, he lied to the reporters and said that Larson was an employee because if a customer died, it had to be reported to the state. But if an employee died, it was a very different process.
Oh, weird. Like, why?
Well, I think it was more of like a L&I thing,
Oh.
but it's
okay.
not, you don't have to report. It's not a media thing, where for the amusement park, someone dies, like, it has to be reported and all this, it's a story, blah,
So
blah,
the
blah.
son was kind of in on the skeeziness.
Well, Gene's the dad.
Oh, Gene's the dad.
Andy's the son.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was thinking that was the son.
So, but he actually didn't work for Action Park. He was on the payroll at the ski resort,
Oh.
but not the park. So it was kind of like this.
But he is an employee, so.
Yeah.
Okay. That's too bad.
So that was the first death in 1980. Then in 1982, a 15-year-old drowned in the wave pool.
Oh, that's why they called it the grave.
Mm-hmm.
What did you say? It ended up
The
being
grave pool.
Yeah, the grave pool.
It's actually not the last death in the wave pool.
Oh.
In 82 as well, a 27-year-old was on the kayak ride.
Oh.
And he fell out. But when he fell out, he stepped on a grate that was in contact with a live wire. He got electrocuted.
Oh, he got electrocuted.
Yeah, by the underwater fans.
Oh my gosh.
And that sent him into cardiac arrest, and he died. Now, the interesting thing with that is, we'll get later. We'll come back to it in a second.
Okay.
Then in 1984, this one I kind of chuckled. I'm sorry, I shouldn't. Someone on the Tarzan swing, once he hit the water, suffered a heart attack.
Ooh.
And they say because of the shock of the cold water.
Oh.
But I don't know if that's
True or not.
really. Can you really attribute that to the park? Like.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
But it did happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 84, another person, a 20-year-old drowned in the cliff diving pool.
Oh, someone landed on him or something?
Well, I don't know what the lifeguards actually jumped in to look for him. Like I said, that pool is 16 feet deep, but the bottom of the pool was brown. So they had a hard time finding him. So actually after he passed away, they repainted it white so they could see better on the bodies on the floor and stuff. But yeah, they just couldn't find him in time.
Did he go in contact?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
That's too bad.
I don't think I have it written down here.
Well, that's okay.
And then in 87, another 18-year-old drowned in the wave pool.
And how are they drowning? Like just intoxication? Because they're all older.
Yeah, could be intoxication, could be I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Horsing around in there,
Something weird.
get trapped under some, I don't know, that many people in there.
Gosh, my goodness.
So here's the interesting thing. So we have a park that's severely faulty in its regulations, safety, all that kind of stuff.
Design.
But of the 6 deaths, the only one that's really their fault, quote unquote, is the Alpine Slide, the first one.
Why?
Literally, it's a ride that went awry, right? But the other ones, again, it's like, okay, so the tidal pool or the wave pool, I mean, people drowned. I'm sure Silverwood has people drown.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone.
At the time, though, the state organization or the state authorities, I guess would be the right word, was considered the wave pool was considered a pool, not a ride. So the only regulations was to have lifeguards. So they weren't breaking any rules, even though it was super crowded and there was alcohol. I mean, they were technically following the rules the state had.
Yeah. I mean, they sell alcohol at the water park and Silverwood, and I don't know that they check before you go in the wave pool.
Definitely not.
So it's, I mean, almost similar rules now as it was then.
They did do an investigation after the kayaker, and they found that, yes, he came in contact with the current, but at the same time, it was installed correctly. There were no violations of
I was thinking
construction,
that they didn't do a good job of protecting him, but no.
So they weren't liable there. Like, it was just kind of maybe we should change the rules or the laws of construction. But yeah, I mean, you guys did what you're supposed to do.
Interesting.
Is
that what you're going to come back to?
Yeah. And then you have the heart attack in the other pool.
Pool.
Which again, like, it's a cold water, but it's not like.
But it wasn't directly because someone landed on someone else and there wasn't enough regulation.
So you've got thousands and thousands of injuries.
Wow.
But the real 5 of the 6 deaths ended up being.
Wow. Kind
of not their fault, I guess, in a way.
Okay.
So for all that, I'm kind of surprised.
Well, me too.
They didn't have more deaths. But you have thousands and thousands of injuries all the time.
Oh, for
People
sure.
are getting hurt all the time. In fact, a director of the nearby emergency room said that they treated 5 to 10 victims a day during the peak times in the summer.
Wow.
So much so that the park actually bought the town extra ambulances.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. So
it wasn't safe, but there weren't as many deaths as one might expect.
Oh my gosh.
But by the mid-1980s, it had become very apparent that Mova Hill's ideas and rides in Action Park, they were not going to be held responsible for all the catastrophes happening day by day. A lot of people wanted him to be responsible. A lot of people would sue him. But the way our system works, if you got a lot of money and someone sues you, I mean, he would not settle. He would just, okay, fine. We'll drag it out in court for years then. And if you got more money, you're going to win that battle every day because the plaintiffs, let's say it's you and one of our kids gets hurt and you want to sue. Okay, you've got $10,000 available for that lawsuit. They've got $100 million. They say, great, let's just keep coming at me then and keep acquiring lawyer fees, and eventually you're going to have to stop because you can't afford to do this anymore.
I see.
That happens all the time in our legal system.
Yeah.
Especially in the civil side, very frequently, the one with more money is going to win.
I mean, that makes sense.
Which is why when we had our business issues, like I was advised, do not sue because you're never going to, they'll just drag it out forever.
Interesting.
Because you're the small dog of
But you would think that they would have
even though we did win in the end, everybody.
Yeah, we did.
So
we'd have to, in the time, you would think they'd make it, you can't drag it out. There would be a time limit or something.
There might be, but then what if they counter, or if they change this, or they amend this, or
I don't know.
They file this motion, so you have to hire an attorney to go through that motion and argue that. It's just never ending. I'm seeing this in a trial I'm watching right now. There's a strategy where the prosecutors, because the trial's just a little bit around the corner, so they just keep pumping in all of these motions to the judge. Well, then the defense has to reply to the motions, But if they're applying all these motions, they can't be doing other work, right?
But I mean, that's what I'm saying is I feel like there should be some, if they know this is a strategy, there should be some way to counteract that. Like you can only submit so many motions or you can only do,
And if they're frivolous, sure, the judge can get after them. But I mean, the law is so, I mean, there's a million things you can constantly be doing, right? Like,
yeah, I guess. I don't know. I guess they say we have a broken system. So I don't know.
But that is one way that it is tricky.
Okay.
But the other reason why he wouldn't pay for any of it is because Action Park had no insurance.
Of course. I mean,
As
we
they
knew that
had-
already. Yeah, no
right.
liability.
So no one would cover it. So he would just wait it out. But this led to another scheme of Move a Hill.
Oh, no.
So he said, okay, I don't have insurance. No one will cover us. Let's just create our own insurance company. So he created London and World Assurance Incorporated.
And you can just do that?
Well, he established it overseas, and it was a totally fake insurance company, and he would just launder money to himself. So the park would say, okay, we're going to spend $60,000 this month on insurance or whatever. I just made that number up. And send it to this insurance company, which is just his holding account, essentially, somewhere else. And then he would just be able to write that off for whatever portion because it was going to insurance, and then he would just turn around and take the money back, right?
But then...
This is highly illegal.
Oh, sure. But then he could... if he made his own thing up and then put it in himself, then when there was a liability claim, he would have to use that account to pay it out?
No, he would never submit the claims. There was no real claims. He
Oh.
would just use cash and battle them out in court. Like,
I see. Okay.
so it wasn't making any money. It was just a way to avoid paying taxes.
Good idea.
It's a great idea, except for the illegality of it.
Yeah. Well,
So-
maybe it wasn't illegal back then.
Well, it very much was. And he did end up pleading guilty. And
Oh. Okay.
ultimately, all of these things led to the
Demise.
demise and bankruptcy of Action Park.
That's too bad.
And it closed down in the mid-90s.
I would love to go there today.
So it does exist today.
Seriously?
It does. But it's a totally different amusement park company, and it's totally... And now it's a normal water park. It doesn't have all the cool made-up stuff.
That's too bad.
Yeah. But like the wave pool still... Not the wave pool. Well, maybe it is. But like the cliff jumping pool, like it's still there. I don't know if you can cliff jump anymore. But somebody owns it.
That's fun. Wonder what it's called.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Did they get the inspiration to call it Pleasure Mountain?
I don't think so. But I'll say this. So there is a local, he's a writer for a local New Jersey paper. His name was Chris Gethard. This is what he said about Action Park. He said, Action Park was a true rite of passage for any New Jerseyan of my generation. When I get to talking about it with other Jerseyans, we share stories as if we were veterans who served in combat together. I suspect that many of us may have come closest to death on some of those rides up in Vernon Valley. I consider it a true shame that future generations will never know the terror of proving their grit at New Jersey's most dangerous amusement park. So, you're right. It was insane. It was terrifying, but it
Drew in the right crowd.
people loved it. You know, like it was a hot commodity. And there's a generation that just, it was their thing, man.
Interesting.
And there will never be another thing like it.
No.
And there are probably lots of things like it all over the world, but not here.
No, not here. Huh, interesting.
So there's a couple documentaries.
Oh, really?
There's one called Class Action Park.
Oh, I think it'd be fun to watch.
We should go watch
Yeah,
one
we should.
now.
Yeah.
But there's a couple documentaries all about Action Park out there.
We really should.
It'd be fun. We should do it tonight.
Or even right now.
Right now. It's rainy. We don't want to work.
It's rainy, I know. I have so much to do, but I'm just like feeling the rain.
So, would you go to Action Park, I think?
I would for surely go. More as an observer than a participator. And I might dabble in a couple of things.
Yeah. I think the vast majority of things I'd have no problem doing.
Based on what you've told me, not the vast majority would be any word that I would use for myself. I would have
Well, maybe not the vast majority of these things.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't.
It sounds like there's lots of other things. That they had another ride.
I'm a pretty strong swimmer. I'd probably try out the water park.
Yeah.
I don't mind cliff jumping. I think if it was safe, I would do that, you know?
Right. So there's a water park, best water park in the world, in my opinion, called Schlitterbahn.
Don't swear it's not.
Down in New Braunfels, Texas. There's actually a few of them now. There's one in Tennessee, but the original Schlitterbahn's in San Antonio, essentially.
We really need to go there.
And I used to live there. I've been a million times. And the cool thing about Schlitterbahn is it's built on the Guadalupe River. So it's got all these rides that they're just, you grab a tube and you float. Think of a lazy river that might go on for 20, 25 minutes, but you can go right or left or up. There's drops on some of them, and there's just all sorts of, it's very relaxing. So they had a ride like that at Action Park. And on one of the sections, you would go through a tunnel. But people sometimes would get stuck in the tunnel. And then another rider, and then another rider. And all of a sudden would get wedged in the tunnel, but you have water coming this whole time, right? So it was like a serious drowning risk. And so the operators have to shut the water off and go help people get out of this bottleneck inside of a tunnel. That sounds terrifying.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
the lazy river sounds great.
Yeah.
But then that element, like, I would never let the kids just go around the lazy river if I knew that component, right?
Exactly. And so there's, I don't know, it sounds bizarre.
That's what I mean. I don't think I
crazy.
would do a lot of the things. I think I would be so curious. I wouldn't be able to watch some of the things either. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to watch the sled ride for fear that someone would go off the side and die, right? Like, I wouldn't want to be a part of any of that.
So they had a bungee jumping platform,
Right there. I wouldn't want to be a part of any of it.
and when they opened it, they had a reporter up there who was going to jump off, but they wouldn't. They got, they were terrified and wouldn't do it, and so Gene literally pushed them off. Like, that's the kind of guy that's running the park.
Can't that be like...
Well, nowadays, sure, that would be all sorts of litigation issues, but
Back then, it
in the
just wasn't?
70s, I think, yeah, it was a different world.
Is Gene still alive?
No, he passed away not too long ago.
Huh.
But
How does he feel about his life?
he actually ended up re-owning the park again after.
Really?
Yeah, but it never reopened. I think in
Felt good for him to own it at the end or something?
I think he was trying to get it back up and stuff, but couldn't. But
Well, I mean, if he had a son, he obviously was married, had a family. Like,
I mean, I don't know.
huh?
Fascinating story.
Yes, very fascinating, interesting.
But we have to watch a documentary
now. We have to. I also think that one of our kids would think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the concept, and he'd probably want to do all the things.
He would definitely want to do all the things.
And I would say, no, these are dumb. But anyway, well, I mean, good on you. He took advantage of a system but for surely he is probably the reason why a lot of the things have been modified, like liability insurances and permits and all. It's like, oh, this is our life lesson right here. This guy is why we do this.
We can't trust people to
and
do this on their own.
This situation and this ride is why we do this, He's like the case study.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, for sure. For a lot of the parameters of insurances and...
Well, it's kind of like, so dentistry, for example. There's a lot of things in dentistry that all of us dentists do that aren't regulated. We don't do it because we have to do it. It's just, that's the right thing to do, and everyone does it. And because everyone does it, they don't regulate it.
Right.
The second someone doesn't do it, then they'll regulate it. And so this is kind of like, I mean, Disney for 20 years prior to this was doing things the right way. Universal was doing things the right way. Other amusement parks, and then as soon as one person comes along that
doesn't do it the right way, then you're like, oh, well,
okay,
it's a regulation.
Yep.
Yeah. So it really is like dumb people's fault why we have so many rules nowadays.
Sure. Oftentimes, they're direct correlation to, you can have a million people drive down a road just fine. You have one person do something stupid on it, and then all of a sudden, boom, now there's a roundabout here where there wasn't, or whatever,
Yeah, for sure. Well, he's definitely the case study, I'd say, for a lot of these things. So, I mean, I don't know if it's ingenuity and entrepreneurship. Like, he took it to like another level. And I understand what he was going for. Like, that rush is a real thing. And that's really like not an addiction, but it can be. That
and there's no way you
the
could,
risk.
build that without building these kind of rides.
Oh no.
Like you can have adrenaline rush by going over a roller coaster, but you're not in control of that rush as if you are.
Right. Like controlling the speed of this or
Right.
that, like having the same. And I understand that concept of where he's coming from, like where you feel like the rush of snowboarding or going off a jump snowboarding is the feel, but it's also your body moving and the energy and the fresh air. There's so much to it. And yeah, a ride takes away a lot of those things on your own self, whatever. But in the same breath, he's taking the lives essentially of people sort of in his own hands.
Totally.
But I'm sure a lot of these people would sign waivers, right? Like they're excited enough about the risk and the potential feeling that brings that they would sign a waiver, knowing if it was exactly the same as it ever was, you know?
Right.
And so it's just an interesting
It is.
human,
Yeah.
you know?
Like I love amusement park rides, but there's definitely some that terrify you. You know, you're like, oh, this is really nerve wracking. But the one reason you go, at least for me, is because, okay, well, I know it's going to be safe though, because it wouldn't be here if it's not safe. Like it's been tested a million times and.
But still things can happen.
Sure.
Right.
But back in the 70s, I wonder if that wasn't
Even a concept.
like we've grown up in such like a cupcake world,
Right.
you know, where of course it's safe. Like why wouldn't it be safe?
Yeah.
There's so much
Well, that's
regulations
what I'm
and
saying
so
is like
much.
maybe in the 70s they were tougher.
Right.
Because their mentality was just different, right? Maybe we're more coddled because of all the regulations and the things we're used to now. And back in the 70s, it was like life was still so much better than it was 30 years before that. And so they were wanting to live their lives and just be crazy and wild. And maybe in the end that made them tougher, right? Like, oh, it's just 20 stitches. It's no big deal, you know. Whatever.
Happens all the time.
It happens all the time. At least I'm not, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So I can see where it was the right time. He took advantage of the right timing because he would never have been able to do something like that, you know, later on or probably earlier on either. Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
It is fascinating.
Yeah. The human psyche, there's definitely like an adrenaline, when you say junkie, like a real element to that, right? Like kind of.
See, I'm not an adrenaline junkie.
I'm not either in those regards
I'm
because
like
I feel
a
like
chill adrenaline junkie.
I'm giving my safety to someone else.
Yeah.
But I'm okay to get my own adrenaline rush if I'm controlling it. Like
Totally.
trying to do a jump.
Like I
on
will
a
never
snowboard,
own
you know?
a motorcycle.
I'm so glad.
But if you said, Mike, here's 70 miles of road and you will not see another person on it, I wouldn't have any problem driving a motorcycle. But trusting other cars and their drivers and
to
shooting
see
rocks at
you
me and blah, blah.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, oh, a convertible sounds wonderful because I still get the rush, but
fresh
it's
air,
chill.
that-
Like I don't have all the risk.
I mean, there's a little more risk, but not near as
Right.
much. Yeah.
But that's pretty my approach to everything in life.
Yeah. Except for when you play bank.
That's true. I'm
You're
pretty
like, I'm going to
aggressive.
risk it all.
And I won back-to-back times last time we played.
Just last time you played. So, anyway, well, it's a cute story.
So cute.
Yeah,
Like
no.
Bambi.
I mean, it's a neat psychological. You know, like obviously people loved it. The reporter that you read at the very end. I mean,
Yeah.
right? There's this element of.
And I think you and I would be that same way with a lot of things. Like we talk about our childhoods. Like, well, both my parents worked and we were riding around our bikes all over, you know, and fields and chasing snakes and
But
things
to
that
me,
we would.
that's normal childhood. This is like a whole new level of
Right.
crazy.
But we would never let our kids do those same things.
Well, I think we do. I mean,
We do. Our kids catch snakes and
yeah, frogs, and they go through the field on the dune buggies and stuff. Like, I mean, I feel like
I
our
guess that's
kids
true.
have the most free range childhood
that you
of
can.
a lot of kids that I know for nowadays.
That's
And
true.
Actually, the anxious generation, that book I was listening to,
Yeah.
I mean, it made me feel good. Like I was like, oh, I think our kids are having these opportunities to learn their own limits and like manage problems, solve problems on their own. You know,
Yeah. So we have this huge field
it's right by our house.
right by our house,
Yeah.
like a block away, where people walk their dogs and people drive dirt bikes. I mean, it's big. And our oldest son came the other day to me. He's like, Dad, I want to go over to the field and shoot my gun. Now, he's just talking about an airsoft. It's not like a real gun.
Oh heck no!
But I'm like, go over. That's fine.
I'm
like,
sure somebody stops him though.
Well, but he's like, well, someone will think it's a real gun. I'm like, dude, it has a giant orange tip on the end. Like, if they think it's a real gun, that's their problem. Like, you can go over there. So he's like, okay. 10 minutes later, him and our next son show up. They both have makeshift belts. They've got like 5 guns each, machete, knives. Like, oh, okay, now you are going to get stopped by the neighbors.
They just went all out.
But they still went and did it, and they came back and they took the dog, and I don't know, it seemed like it went fine.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, I feel like for this generation, like not you and me, but like the ones upcoming, I feel like we're doing a pretty good job of that part of it. But yeah, nowadays, I mean, it's all screens. It's all simulation. It's like they're doing what our kids did in real life in a computer screen, right? So I can see this element where this was the right time to do this, right? Because they were not this safe. It's all about safety. They were obviously all about risk.
Definitely about risk.
So anyway, it's very interesting. I do want to watch a documentary though.
Me too.
Yeah, but we can't because it hasn't been released yet. We can't do it with him because he'll know what the podcast is about.
Well, that's okay. You know,
we have a number one fan.
we do have a number one fan
Very anxious.
who lives
He's
down the hallway from us.
Yeah, and he's like keeps opening the door. I think he's eavesdropping.
He's eavesdropping. So it's daytime right now. He's got a 3D printer, and I'm having him print me some stuff for work. So he keeps popping his head in
To
and
show us
showing.
every creation.
But the last time he popped in, he was missing his shirt. So I don't know what's going on now. Like,
Free range childhood.
free range childhood, but it's not warm today.
Nope.
So he came in topless, showing us stuff. So
It's a funny guy.
not sure what's happening down there.
Oh dear.
All right, well, everyone have a good week, and we will.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Post surgery.
Post surgery for me, and hopefully I can sit.
Yeah, you're gonna be great.
Alrighty, everyone have a wonderful couple weeks, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you later.
Bye.